Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at YOLO. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.yolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app. I'm eagerly looking forward to all your submissions right after this class.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I hope all of you are doing extremely well and looking forward to a nice day. My name is Hanika and I welcome all of you to the class 1 of Watercolor Florence. Yes, so this is a new course. This is the first class and let me quickly tell you a little about the course. We are going to be diving into the world of watercolors first of all, and secondly, we will be predominantly focusing more on Florence. So by the end of this course, you would learn a lot, many brush strokes, different kind of watercolor techniques. You would understand the watercolor paints much in detail, and you must have already learned a lot about those watercolor landscapes and hand lettering, etc. So this one is typically different from the previous courses about watercolors because we would be focusing more on the brush strokes this time. Okay, so we will be learning different kind of brush strokes, and this will all give you a level up to your watercolor learning. Okay, so I welcome all of you to this class 1 and I hope you all enjoy this class as well. Make sure you submissions on time and attend all the classes as well. If you attend all the classes and make the submissions for all the classes as well, you will receive a certificate by the end of this course, which is the Watercolor Florence course. So make sure you're following these and having lots of fun. So quickly give me a thumbs up so that we can get started with today's class. So all of you who are asking me about the materials, don't worry, I will be discussing about all the art materials in detail. Okay, so just quickly give me a thumbs up so that we can start with the class, we can start with the fun activity. Give me a thumbs up, quickly give me a thumbs up and I'll share the screen and we can just get started. Okay, so I hope you can see the screen. And number one, as we all know that we will be discussing the art materials that are required for today's class in detail. So first, let us get into the art materials and then we begin the class. Okay. be discussing the art materials first. Okay, so first, this is an A5 sized white sheet. So that's an A5 size white sheet. In case you have an A4 size white sheet, you can just cut it into half and you'll have an A5 size of white sheet. In case you're not having this white sheet, white drawing sheet, any other sheet that you have, that would be totally fine as well. In case you're not having any of it, you can just simply use a paper from your notebook and grab some colors and get started as well. Okay, so that's the first material that we need. That's a drawing sheet in A5 size. Second, we need a paint brush. Okay, so since this is a watercolor course, we would be focusing on watercolor. We need to have a brush as well, right? So make sure that you're having a round brush. Okay, a round brush. We don't need a flat brush. We need a round brush, and any size of brush would be fine. So the one I'm using here is in size 2 or 3. But in case you have a larger brush or a smaller brush, that would be totally fine as well. You need not worry. So that's the second material. That's a paint brush. Third, you need a water container. Of course, if you're using watercolors, we need to wet the paints. We need to add some water to the paints so that they get activated and we can use those paints, right? So we need a water container, a jar of water as well. And of course, the star of our course are these watercolors. So I'm using these watercolor shades from Camel, and it's fine if you have any brand of watercolors, that's totally fine as well. You need not have so many shades as well. The only shades that we need in today's class would be brown, yellow, and green. And even if you don't have brown, it's fine. You can use red. That's fine again. So only 3 of these watercolor paints that we need in today's class. And even if you don't have brown, I said you can use red as well. So let's say we have brown watercolor paint, we have a yellow watercolor paint, and a green watercolor paint. Any shade of green that you have, that would work totally fine. Okay. And as I said, if you don't have brown, you can make use of red watercolor paint as well. Okay, so that's just the simple art materials that we need in today's class. And give me a thumbs up again that you have your art materials with you and you're all set to dive into today's fun activity. Yes, are you ready for the fun activity to begin? Okay, awesome. So I see 2 thumbs ups coming in, but let's get started. So without wasting any more time, let us quickly dive into today's activity. So first, I'm just going to quickly take the paintbrush. We wet the paintbrush first. So dip it into the water container that you have. And the first thing that I'm going to do is wet the brown paint. So in order to use those watercolors, we need to add some water into it so that they get activated. So here I'm just adding a little bit of water to the paint, and I'm taking a little amount of brown paint in my brush. Okay, and now all of you just carefully observe for the first time what am I doing. So I just randomly start from one side and I'm just dabbing my brush to make these small dots in the form of a semicircle. So could you spot these small dots that I created just by dabbing the brush, and I'm trying to make this in a semicircle. Okay, so just dab your brushes onto the paper to make small dots and make a semicircle. So that is what I'm doing here. Let me quickly repeat it for you from here. So we take a little bit of paint into the brush and we dab it onto the paper to make these tiny dots, semicircular area. Not too large, not too small, just a medium-sized area of the dots. Okay. So now the similar thing, typically the similar thing, exactly the similar thing we are going to create in random areas of our sheet. Okay, so just leave a little bit of gap between each of these and start again by creating the similar dot semicircles or create these similar dots on the sheet just randomly. Make sure that they are not located quite close to each other. They are spread apart, they are random, and you can also play with the size of it if you want. Okay, so if you see, I'm just randomly creating these dots in a semicircular portion, and I'm placing them randomly on the sheet. Okay, some more to go. So how many ever you want on your sheet, or how many ever you can fit on the sheet, just try to create these. So just creating these smaller portions first. So keep adding water to the paint if you feel it is dried up, because watercolors tend to dry up really quick. You can just add water every time that you are drawing these dots. Okay, so just simply drawing these small dots, and if you see, I'm just locating them randomly on my sheet, and make sure that you have a little bit of gap between each of these. Okay, so just adding few more over here. Okay, so I'm just adding it randomly. So I've just added these random dots on the sheet, and I've added around 6 to 7 of these. So it's okay if you have added less of these, that's totally fine. I've added more of these dots, that's totally fine again. So this is something that we have created up till now. Just give me a moment and then we'll name it what it is called as. Okay. So if I now tell you that what it is called as, it would make no sense. So just hold on for a moment and let's move to the next step, and then I'll quickly discuss that what are we creating. Okay. So now all of you just clean your brush. All of you need to just clean your brush now. Make sure the entire brown paint is rid away from your brush. Okay. And then you now need to take some yellow paint into the brush. So before we take the yellow paint, we need to wet the paint as well, right? So we are going to first take the yellow paint. We are going to wet the paint nicely, add some water to the paint, the yellow paint, any shade of yellow would be fine. And add some paint. I'm going to zoom in a little for you. Okay, so once you have activated the yellow paint, just hold on for a moment, because now we are going to start with our stroke one, the first type of brush strokes with watercolor. First, just observe how I do that along, and then you can just start creating the same thing as well. So I take yellow paint into the brush, and now I'm just simply dabbing the whole brush onto the sheet in such a way that it creates the petals of the flower. Okay, so here's a quick recap now. We take some yellow paint, we dab it onto the paper. We dab the entire brush onto the paper. The same thing again, so taking some yellow paint again, and then we dab it onto the paper. So don't worry if your brown portion, the brown paint is mixing with the yellow paint. That's totally fine as well. That would even look lovely if it's happening. So just following the same technique, we dab the brush. So could you just spot that? I'm repeating it again for you. We take some yellow paint onto the brush and we dab the entire thing. So just look how I place my brush. I place the pointed tip towards the brown paint, and then I just dab the entire brush onto the paper, and lift it up. And I lift it up in such a way that it creates a petal shape, a long petal shape. Okay. Here's a quick recap. I place the pointed part at the brown paint, near the brown paint, and then I dab the brush. Look how I've just dabbed the brush onto the paper, and I then don't drag it and lift it. I immediately lift it so that it creates a petal. Okay, so the same thing again. So I've just created 4 of these petals and the brown portion that you see now. So these are nothing but the pollen grains. These are the pollen grains of the flower, and these are the petals of the flower. The yellow portion, the yellow petals, and the brown portion are the pollen. So I'm just drawing these 4 petals around the first flower. So now what we have to do is follow the similar technique on all the other brown pollens that you have drawn. So we're going to quickly draw or create these petals, and then we are going to create these petals using the similar dab technique. So we quickly take the paint and dab it onto the paper. Okay. And as I said, if your brown paint is blending with your yellow paint, you need not panic about it. It's totally fine. It would look lovely if it's happening that way. Okay. If you see, I'm just drawing these 4 petals around each of these pollens. Okay. Just the similar technique. Once you get the technique, it is just easy to follow. You can just tilt your sheet the way you want to make it easy for you to draw these petals. Okay. So look how easy it was. Just by following one simple brush stroke, we create these petals. So quickly adding petals to the other pollens as well. So look here how I tilt the sheet this time. I'm tilting the sheet so that it's easy for me to create the petals. Okay. So just using the brush to create the petals. Make sure you're having enough paint in your brush. Again, if you feel your paint is dried up, please add some water to the paint and have good amount of paint on your brush so that you have nice bright petals coming along. Okay, so I've just created these petals and now I feel there's still a lot of gap left. So now I'm just going to create some new pollens here. And as I said, if you don't have these spaces, you can completely skip this process. But if you see, I have a lot many spaces left. So I'm just going to go ahead, add some more pollen grains, add some more brown dots to the sheet and draw some more flowers. And just for your knowledge, this flower is called as a daisy flower. Okay, so the name of this flower is a daisy. So they're painting these daisies. They're painting a field of daisies first. And just by simple brush strokes, we create the petals as well. So now, if you see, I'm just adding some more pollen because I feel there's too much of space left. But as I said, if you don't have enough space, you can just skip this process. Okay. So I've just added 2 of these pollens again, the center portion of the flower again, and I'm going to quickly add the petals around it as well. Just taking the yellow paint again, then I place the point of the brush right towards the center portion and I just dab it. Okay, so once you're dabbing it, you need not drag it. You need to just dab and you need to lift up the brush. Okay. And if you see, this brown portion is again blending, which looks beautiful. That's fine if the brown color is just blending with your yellow paint. As I said, it will be fine. Okay, so if you see, I've just painted few of these daisies on the flower, and now they still look a little incomplete to me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add some stem and leaves to the flowers as well. So again, we are going to just dive into a different kind of a brush stroke. So make sure you're all following it carefully, and once I repeat it, only then you're drawing it for yourself, only then you're creating it for yourself, okay? So this time for the stems, now we are going to make use of a green paint. So again, all of y'all just clean your brushes, get rid of the yellow paint that is there on the brush, get rid of the yellow paint, have clean brush now, because we are going to make use of a different color, we are going to make use of a different paint. Okay, so this is something that you all need to be careful about, that whenever you're using watercolors and if you are switching these shades, when you move from brown to yellow, you're moving from yellow to green, make sure that your brushes are clean, okay? Because we don't need any other colors to mix with the previous colors, the previous shades. So make sure you have clean brushes, and only then you start with the next usage of color, okay? So that's another tip that you all need to take care about while using watercolor. Now I've just cleaned my brush and I'm adding water to the green paint, taking some green paint onto the brush, and I'm going to simply draw stems to the flowers. So simply drawing these stems. A slightly tilted, a slightly curved stem, okay? Because since the flower is blooming at a different angle, so you see the flower is blooming at a different angle. This is slightly tilted, so I'm going to draw a curved stem to it as well, okay? So just following the similar process again, taking some green paint. You all can draw the stems along with me if you want. Just adding a stem with the green paint. Don't make it too thick, not too thin. Just slight curve with the green paint. Okay. And so I'm basically adding these stems to all the flowers that I have here. Okay. Using green paint again. So don't worry if the stems are overlapping the flower. So if you see here, the stem is overlapping the flower, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Just draw a stem to each of the flower that you have, and make sure that you're drawing these curved stems to make it look a lot better. Any shade of green would be fine. As I said, any shade of green would work. Okay, adding some stems. Again, as I said, it's fine if it's overlapping. It's fine if the stems are overlapping each other. Just add these stems to all plants. Just using the paintbrush to add the stems. And the last one here. Okay. Just continuing up to the bottom area as well. Okay. So if you see, I've just added these stems with the green paint now, and it's time to add the leaves as well. So this time there's a different stroke that we are learning for creating the leaves. So again, make sure that you're all listening to me carefully, you're observing it carefully before you start creating them. Okay, so don't worry, I would be repeating it time and again for you to create those, but make sure that you're observing it carefully and then creating it on your sheets. Okay, so I hope you have all completed creating these stems to the daisy flower, and now I'm going to draw the leaves. So just adding water to the green paint again, and I'm just going to draw a leaf. So quickly zooming in a little bit. Okay, I hope all of you are observing this. Everybody is going to observe this for the first time. So look, I just place the brush a little away from the stem and pointing upwards. So if you see, I've just placed the tip of the brush facing upwards and little away from the stem, and then I drag it and lift it up again. So this time I'm dragging it and lifting up. I'm not typically dabbing and lifting it up like we did for the petals. This time I'm dabbing the brush and dragging it to create this line as well. So could you just spot this stem of the leaf over here? So just an addition to this is that we drag the brush to create a thin line as well. Okay, so here's a quick recap for you. Okay, so everybody again carefully observe. I place the point at the top, I drag it and create a thin line. Okay, it may not be easy at the first attempt, so don't worry if you're not able to create exactly the same leaf, but you can try again. Similarly on the opposite side, and then drag it to create a stem. Okay, I think I should be repeating it again for you. I'm taking you back at it. One last time, please observe this. So I place the point of the brush slightly away from the stem and the point is facing upwards. Then I just drag the brush and lift it up smoothly so that it creates a straight line. Okay. Similarly, on the opposite side, I drag it and lift it up smoothly to draw a straight line. And the similar technique again. If you're facing any difficulty to draw it in this way, draw it in one brush stroke, you can just create it simply in a normal way. I'm just going to add some more leaves over here to all the stems that we have, just to be random at this. So you can just give a free hand leaf as well if you're not able to create it by way of these strokes. And again, reminding you to add some water to the paint if it is dried up. Okay. So if you see, I'm just creating these leaves with the help of one stroke, but if you find it difficult, you can draw these two curved lines and add a stem as well. So over here, if you see, I've just added these two curved lines and drawn the leaf. But if you want, you can use the brush stroke that we learned now and create the leaves as well. Okay. Go. So this time, if you see, look how I create these leaves just by creating two curved lines and a stem. But if you want, you can use the stroke technique as well. Following the similar technique, and you can add as many leaves as you want to all the stems that we have created here. Okay. Any shade of green would be fine. So you need not worry that you need to have two different shades for the stem and the leaves. Any shade of green, even if you have one single shade of green, that's fine again. So I'm again just adding these leaves to all the stems that I have over here. Okay. As I said, if you're finding it difficult to draw with the brush stroke technique, then you can just draw these two curved lines and create these leaves as well. I'm doing this for people who couldn't follow the brush stroke technique. You can just simply draw these curved lines to create this. You need not be absolutely perfect at it. It's fine if the shape of the leaf is different for different stems. It's fine as far as you're just totally enjoying the process. Okay. So just make sure that you're just enjoying the process nice and well. Okay, there we go. I'm just creating these. Okay. So just adding some tiny leaves again at places I feel there's too much of gap. So now I think this looks pretty well to me. You can all just clean up your brushes now if you're done with the leaves. And I want to quickly tell you what we learned today. So we started by creating simple tiny dots with the brown paint or the red paint, whatever the case was. And then we learned our first brush stroke where we simply dabbed the brush and created the petals. Okay, so we created these petals for all the pollen grains and we created a daisy flower. Then we moved forward to add these stems. We added some stems to the flower as well. And then we took a step forward. We learned about another brush stroke, which was about creating these leaves. This was a little similar to the petal technique, the way in which we created petals, but this was just different in a way that this time we don't dab and lift it, but we dab, we drag it and lift it up smoothly so that we are able to create the lower portion of the leaf, the stem of the leaf as well. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed creating this daisy field with me, and it's fine if you couldn't, cope up with the brush strokes at this class, but with a little bit of practice, all of you would be able to master this technique. Okay, so don't worry if your illustrations or your artwork don't look perfect to you, but make sure that you're making your submission. Okay, if it is good, if it is bad, even if it is not up to the mark in your consideration, make sure that you're making your submissions because I really want to see your progress. Okay, so make sure that you're making your submissions. All of you are making your submissions. I personally evaluate all your submissions. I look about who is making their submission consistently, who is not making their submissions consistently. Okay, so make sure you're making your submissions, and you could also have a chance in being the top 10 of the submissions which are on the website. So make sure that you make your submissions, and I'm going right away after this class completes to go check your submissions. And as I said, I hope you all enjoyed learning a different technique of watercolor application. And I'll see you again in the next class, in class 2, with yet another watercolor technique, and we'll create something very beautiful in next class. Okay, so do not miss the next class. I'll see all of you. I need all of you to attend the next class, and I want to see all your friends to attend the next class as well. Okay, so make sure you're all attending the classes, you're all making the submissions and having lots of fun, just participating in the hobby classes on YOLO. Okay, so I'll see you in the next class. Please take care of yourself and stay creative. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, we are excited to have you here in today's fun-filled learning session at YOLO. Here is a quick look at how you can submit your work after the class. As a first step, go to live.yolo.com. You can use any browser to access this site. On this page, you will see a list of all our classes. Scroll down and you can see the Submit Your Work button. And then you will see a list of the classes that you've last attended, which could, for example, show the dance or craft or science experiment classes you've attended recently. Next, it will show you the list of children whose names are registered in this mobile number. Choose your name from this list to submit your work. For instance, if you are Satvik Kumar, choose that name. And then choose the class for which you would like to make your submission. For example, if you've attended the New Year's Masquerade Party session and you'd like to make the submission for this class, click on the Submit Your Work button below that. And then upload the photo you've taken. Choose the image from your phone and click Submit. You can scroll down and view all your past submissions and see how many of your friends or peers have liked your work. You can also see others' work and like their work to inspire your friends. If you want to showcase your work on social media, that too is very simple. Click on Share, copy the link and post it on Instagram or Facebook or any other platform of your choice. Just a tiny reminder, your submission looks a lot better if you could click a photo in the landscape mode rather than the portrait mode. Do not forget to tag us at YOLO_app